Welcome everyone to the Eugene Metropolitan Rotary Club. Today is November 8th, if you can believe it, and this is meeting number 1966 of the Eugene Metro Club. So for those in the room, Rotary members and everyone, if you would stand and join me in the four-way test. For all we think, say, and do, is it the truth?
It is the truth.
Is it fair to all concerned?
It is fair to all concerned.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
It will. Yes.
And will it be beneficial to all concerned?
It'll be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you for that. And because we have more, will it be fun?
It'll be fun, you betcha.
And who, by the way, is Rotary? All right. Thank you. We have the quote of the week. Andrew, I see you just walked in. Do you have the quote of the week?
We have two quotes.
We do have two quotes. You have them at hand, or do you need?
I do not have it.
Well, as it turns out.
You do. You always do, right? Both of these are by Abe Lincoln. And they seem to be appropriate both for this today and for our talk. Quote number one. Do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends? Ooh, damn. The second quote is, America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves.
Damn, Captain Historian.
And I see Heather is in the room. Heather, are you in a spot where you can introduce the Zoom guests?
Yes.
So I think the visiting Rotarian that I will be introducing, for those of you that know Mike Hartwig, he's joining us from the Delta Rotary Club. And I believe Leslie is with us as well. And they just got back from an incredible trip in Egypt and Jordan, I believe. Yes, so we're happy to have you back in Oregon. And we have some Metrotarians joining us as well. Ginny and Holly are joining us, and Ariel.
Good to see Ariel.
Thanks for being here, guys. Look, we have a Reed Fiesta online.
Hang on. Oh, but you want
Yeah, so joining us from Auburn, Indiana, my sister Katie Roos.
Hello.
My mom, who just moved to Auburn, Indiana, Susan Reed. Welcome, Susan. And past district governor Kirk Reed. I don't know your district number, Pops, but it was actually at your inauguration as district governor when I said, I got to join Rotary.
Hey, way to go.
Very good. Thanks, Brian. And in the room, guess we got in the room, Anna, welcome back. And Emily, good to see you. Welcome.
And this is my wife, Cindy, who's joining us for the second time.
And our guest speaker for the night is our own Bryan Reed, who has more guests to introduce, which I'm going to leave him to do because they're numerous, and my, what a crowd.
My goodness.
Brian,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
no,
leave
thank
you
you.
to, leave you to do your thing.
Thank you guys for coming down tonight. It means a lot to me, really. Like, I'm really excited about what I'm going to share with you tonight. And I invited my friends, and it's so cool that they get to come and experience Rotary on what is a special night. So my wife, Amanda Reed, welcome. Thanks for being here, sweetie. My amigo, his name is Lee. We call him Stagger Lee. It's like a cool name. And he joined Twisted River. So if you come out and see us play, Stagger is in the band. Twisted River, love you, Stagger. And yeah, and Ronnie Ray next to him. He is the bass player for Twisted River. Thanks for making it down. He's like, I will be there if I'm not out campaigning. Don Leslie is running for county commissioner, and he's doing all he can to get her in that seat. Susan, I don't know your last name, but Susan's here. Yeah, Susan. Thank you. She's connected with Stagger, and she is an awesome human being that I feel privileged that I get to hang out with sometimes. Yeah. My buddy Bobby, he lives on the coast, and Bobby is the best banjo player I've ever hung out with. Thanks for being here, amigo. And then Stagger, your new roommate.
Chris Peach, who is a photographer for the Registered Guard.
Oh.
I didn't think his real name was Peach, so I wanted you to do that.
I answer to a lot of things. God most love you. Oh, it's a mutual admiration society. Yeah. And later you can, I'll be taking, people that find the newspapers under their pickup trucks or in the bushes and stuff. I'll be.
Former South Eugene High School teacher, Peter Wiebe, who's now an amazing, it's school and construction. It's like a career to education to career thing.
Yeah, so it's construction education. So I'm still actually a math and English teacher, but I'm teaching within the context of teaching kids how to literally build a house.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so cool. And you have a Rotary connection. I forgot what it was though.
Oh, well, when I was in high school, Rotary gave me a service above self award and a scholarship as well.
Nice.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. And then my dear friend Kate here, she introduced me to the topic that I'm going to talk about tonight. And Kate, you've been one of the greatest teachers I've ever had. Yeah. Oh yeah, trying to get me for the folks. Okay, so I'm gonna should I start talking about this speechification? All right. I'll put this here. I'll just do this here. Okay, awesome. And I'll share screen and we'll start this talk. I'll talk about soccer after this. That's weird. I don't know, but now it's going to be screen share. Can me? Okay, cool. Thank you. So the talk tonight is integral politics, how America can grow into a better version of itself. It comes from this book that's fantastic. Hey, there it is. Developmental Politics by Steve McIntosh, How America Can Grow into a Better Version of Itself. If I wrote the book, I would call it Integral Politics. And I was reading this book and I've been studying integral theory for about 5 years. And I was so fired up. I wanted to share this. This book is a really clear explanation of integral in the way that it's working in our culture right now, and to understand our culture. And I said to my friend Heather, hey, how do I get to present? She said, no, that sounds great. How about November 8th? And she didn't even think it's election day, but I'm like, dude, it's election day. Yes, November 8th. That's the one. So this is a crazy year, and I don't know that that's going to stop anytime soon. Here's the quote to get it kicked off from Steve McIntosh, our author. Hyperpolarization is not a problem that can be solved under our current cultural conditions. The only way to ameliorate this wicked problem is to effectively grow out of it. So I want to start by talking about positive and negative polarities. Well, just polarities. Normally, when we think about polarities, we're talking about a positive and a negative, something that's good and something that's bad, like prosperity and poverty, or war and peace, or liberty and tyranny. And these are all all of these polarities present problems that are to be solved. And there are better and worse ways to solve problems, right? But what we're not as aware of when we think about polarity is the possibility that there is a positive and positive value polarity. So something like freedom and responsibility is a polarity that has a totally different relationship. It's an interdependent, complementary relationship, so that on both ends you get something good, but there's a tension between them, right? So what stands out to me about this one, which really grabs me, is I thought for the longest time that the good stuff in life is the freedom. That's where you have the fun. You go and you blaze trails on your snowboard with your friends and play rock and roll. And responsibility is something to be avoided. And you know, maturity, fortunately, I got to live long enough, I got to mature a bit. And what stays it, we'll talk later. What stands out here is this idea that in order to further the one, you have to take on or bring online some of the aspects of the other. And so responsibility actually can feed freedom, right? If I am responsible tonight, I get to wake up tomorrow morning feeling good, right? If I clean my house responsibly, I have the freedom to live in a beautiful space, etc., right? And if you're all into responsibility and you don't have the freedom, where's the life? Where's the joie de vivre? So the two feed each other. And we can talk about or think about, and Steve McIntosh does this beautifully, this difference between a stuck polarity and a generative polarity. And you could be stuck on one side and not consider the other to be worthy of your attention, as I did very much with this. And I'm just hit to the punchline. Something like this is going on with our politics, where we're unable to see the value in the other side. And if we're able to connect and bring online some of the gold, some of the value, we can enhance both sides. So look at this one: individual and community, competition, cooperation, right? One strengthens the other. Interdependent, complementary relationship. I just love language like that. And Steve McIntosh puts it so well. Masculine and feminine is a really rich one. So this is actually an area where we have made great progress as a society, as a culture, over the last 50 years or so. I got to come of age in a culture that doesn't mind, will call me a real man, one who is sensitive, one who likes to work with 5-year-olds, one who puts a heart at the end of his email signature. All of these things I can bring online, and it goes vice versa. We now value in our culture women who are independent, who are strong, who are competitive. These qualities can go and they strengthen both sides. And then I want to just say this one: teaching and learning. I mean, just an obvious polarity, right? But a beautiful tension, and it's hard to even distinguish the line between them. And it's this one that brought me to do this, because I love this content. I wanted to teach it. And so thank you for giving me the chance to do more learning so I could be the teacher here. And I wanted to just mention, just so we're clear, we're not teaching just when we stand up and give a presentation. We have a great phrase in Rotary. I think we kicked it off tonight when we said, in all the things we do and say and think, is it the truth? Like this. So we're teaching in our thoughts and our words and our actions, not just when we hold the microphone. Okay, so integral meta theory. This is literally a map of the growth and development of everything. Ken Wilber, who is to consciousness what Einstein is to physics, I would just say that. I think one of the first books I ever got was called A Brief History of Everything, right? Something just like this. And that's what he tries to do, is to say, what is going on here? And as a meditator and a spiritual practitioner, I care deeply about that question. What is going on here? I mean, we've got an external reality, we have an internal experience, and how do we understand that in terms that are scientific and spiritual at the same time? Why care about a theory? I love this. Way to go, Einstein. Whether or not you can observe a thing depends upon the theory that you use. It is the theory that decides what can be observed. So we wear cultural lenses, amigos, right? There's so much to integral theory, and I could come and do another presentation another year, because this is going to touch the surface and it's going to be incomplete. But one of the ones I really want to hit on here is this idea of include and transcend. And this is the way that evolution or development happens. So if we look at organisms, cells, and molecules, their recursive structures are, they increase in their inclusivity and their complexity, right? And this is how we've grown our brain. And this is how cultures grow too. So this is my favorite way to think about include and transcend. You've got this brain stem that's been online for, I don't know, 2 billion years. I don't know when life started, but it's like 1 billion years, right? And I don't know when the brain stem started, but it's still there. The lizard brain is at least 65 million years old, right? And when we developed a limbic system, this mammalian brain, we care about our relationships, we care about our children. We didn't excise the lizard brain. It's still online. Eating and reproducing is still worthy of our concern, right? And our rational brain still rides on top of that lizard brain. We don't get rid of what we have transcended. We include it. Thankfully, we can outgrow some of it. We're not run by the reptilian brain all that often, I'm hoping. Okay, look at this one. So you've got these 3 domains of evolution, which we can see. And I know this is heady, but it's fascinating. So we've got matter, which evolves like the cells and molecules. Well, let's see, the atoms and the molecules. Then we've got life, which is our molecules, and then our systems and our organism. And then we've got what Pierre Desjardins called the noosphere, or noosphere. And this is mind. And this is what is exciting to me. Unlike the evolution of matter and biology, which are random and seeming to go without a whole lot of direction, or very quickly, the evolution of consciousness can be undertaken intentionally. So consciousness and culture evolve, and we can take an active role in it. Okay. There are 3 major worldviews, and we can kind of call it 3 cultures going on in America, and this is what all of the sparring is about. We've got, in order of emergence, not political left and right here, but traditionalists. The Bibles and the focus on the family crowd, the Mike Pence amigos are our traditionalists. We've got the modernists who encompass actually, well, you say it this way, then the postmodernists are what we're very familiar with here on the West Coast, and especially in Eugene and Oregon. And what distinguishes, what's sort of, I don't know, what separates, what distinguishes these 3 worldviews is the way that they see the 3 fundamental values: goodness, truth, and beauty. So our traditionalists seek to preserve our heritage and conserve the best of what has come before. And I just want to say, in this very liberal city, there's something very beautiful about civilization that is worth preserving. And our conservative amigos are, let's conserve the best of what we've got. Let's just not diss on the conservatives. They got God's work to do here. The modernists are focused on overcoming poverty and ignorance and liberating each individual to achieve their full potential. And our postmodernists are focused on righting the wrongs of modernity and building solidarity for the protection of the environment and the achievement of social justice. All worthy values, right? All right.
Sure.
Oh, wait, there's more.
Yeah, you keep going.
Okay, so what I mean to say, or here's this point I'm building, all of this strata of political landscape, the levels of politics can be compared to the levels of geology, and at the bottom of it is bedrock values. Everything else rides on top of this. And the solution to our broken politics and tribalism is found in values agreement, in values integration. All right, we are not in the integral project trying to change our own values or change the values of other people. The opportunity is to expand the scope of what we're able to value. And I can tell you personally that has happened in an interesting way I'll allude to. Let me get back to this idea of goodness, truth, and beauty. Like the primary colors of red, blue, and yellow, all the other colors come from it. It's a rather simple and elegant way to say that these values sort of are where all others are derived. And I want to do a little bit of a invitation for you. Look at the values that are up on this word cloud. And I want you to find in your memory the experience of being really swept into the sway of one of these values. Yeah, like beauty. Like when I heard the Jimi Hendrix, I think it was Voodoo Child, but it was so awesome. There was a rock and roll organ going on that actually made me cry. It did it. I mean, it happens all the time. Music makes us cry. Beauty transports us. And we feel caught in the updraft of that. And we've all done work that we were passionate about. And the work with the excellence that we were trying to imbue into our actions was, we're trying to make it so good. And it compelled us and it brought us to do things that transcended our normal level of consciousness. Or truth, maybe I like the word compelling in that. So we've read books that are so interesting, they're so compelling, we can't put them down. We're swept away in this values energy. And just by a nod of heads, I've been talking a lot and I'd love a little feedback. Can you find a time where you have felt swept away by one of these primary values? Yeah, of course. Oh, yes. This is what can transform our politics, because this is what transforms us. Goodness, truth, and beauty is at the bedrock of all of our values. We see it differently, and I want to show you what that looks like and invite you to consider that everyone is right. What a wild and crazy thing to say. But that's the deal. They're not right all the time, and they're not right about all things, but everyone has a piece of the truth, right? And however well we express it, however we falter along the way to express goodness, truth, and beauty and get bent around the axle of some tangent, people have bedrock values that are worthy of respect. Also, these are both podcasts, and especially the Daily Evolver. If you're a podcast listener, I'm going to say that again. Check out the Daily Evolver. This is the most hopeful podcast in my podcast app. I never miss an episode. So let's look at these. Let's look at these worldviews and the way that they see goodness, truth, and beauty. And let's just affirm. Let's conscientiously affirm the value in what other people see as good. I'm gonna start on the right-hand side of the spectrum. So here's the thing. What do they value that is really worth caring about? We don't do politics here, but I'll be equal sidesy on this one, right? The Trump amigos will say, what is wrong with the liberals? That's not a very good question, and neither is what is wrong with the Trump voters. What is a very good question I invite us to practice is, what do they value that is really worth caring about? That's a good question. I've been to the shotgun range with my friend Ruben. I'm not saying this here for the first time. You said it when you introduced your friend. You voted for Trump twice. I freaking love Ruben. And the dude with the Make America Great hat at the shotgun range, he was a nice guy, man. He was a good dude. Oh, I'm wading into controversy. I know it. But let's start over on the right-hand side.
Oh, no.
Not you. I'm not wading into conference. Okay, good. Okay, so
Controversy?
okay, let me say this too. I heard this at a Rotary meeting. Somebody said, why do we start Rotary? And it was to have good conversations. And I hope that this is the start of a conversation that'll carry on between us amigos as the weeks and meetings go on. But to the postmodern leftist amigos, the social and environmental justice, this is good. Diversity, multiculturalism, natural lifestyle and localism, planetary healing. These are good. Clearly they're good. But if you went to my amigo at the shotgun range and started talking about planetary healing, it may not go anywhere, that conversation. We might just politely say, nice to see you. And likewise, on the other side of the spectrum, we've got God's will, right? So the traditionalists are going to say, what's good? God's will is good. And I love this way that I hear it on the Daily Evolver. We have an allergic reaction to that on the secular left. God's will, we don't want to go there. That we've stepped back from something that old-fashioned or that traditional, and we attribute. But let me tell this story. I've been a meditator for 10 years, and it had to be secular. It had to be scientific. It was mindfulness-based stress reduction that got me into the door. And I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to meditate every day because, it's scientific. It didn't happen for years, but when I heard integral, and I stopped making war on religion, I went from an anti-theist, not even an atheist, a real anti-theist, to someone who could look at religion with a little bit of forgiveness built in and say, what's going on there that's worthy of value? And when people come together to care about something that is greater than themselves, when people come together to look at the source of goodness, truth, and beauty, however imperfectly their politics, it's worthy of respect. So I went to St. Mary's Episcopal Church to a meditation circle. That's what I call it. They'd call it something else, but to me it was a meditation circle. But it was religious, right? And that's where I met Holly, and she invited me to Rotary, and it had not been for Integral. And the general oh, I'm allergic to religion. Let's ask a good question. What's religion got that's worth caring about? What do they hold dear to their hearts that's at least worthy of inquiry? And of course, our modern is good. We got our scientific progress and all that's good. I think we know that. Let's look at this one. And as we look at the true, and on the traditional side, we got scripture. And in the modernist, we've got science, and on the postmodern, we've got subjective experience, whatever is true for you. I want to invite you to see that all of this is true. There's a piece of the truth in all of this, and that the true it's true but partial, right? Your subjective experience is true, but it can't be quantified in science. So in science will never, science would see love or these beautiful transformative experiences of cosmic unity. They would say, oh, well, you had some dopamine and some oxytocin that were released, and we could see it because it's quantifiable in science, and it's not experiential. It's not soft, and they're both true. They're both true. And there's some really beautiful things in scripture. I'm not a religionist myself, but it's worth knowing that the way that we got along and built cultures that could stand being around one another is with some trust and some understanding about some bedrock. These are the norms, and religion taught us the norms and enforced the norms in ways that made modernism possible. And it's really fascinating the way that these worldviews came online by pushing against each other and by trying to right the wrongs, trying to address the excesses and the pathologies of what they were, the milieu that they came about in. Okay, so as we look at the beautiful, I'll just let you read this for a minute. And as we think about these different views, we might say, what do they see that I am missing? And tonight, as the results come in and the likely trouncing the Democrats are going to take, we might instead of what is wrong with those people, what do they see that I'm missing? That's a better question. And let me say it like this too. These worldviews are like looking through lenses, right? When you put on a contact lens, you don't see the contact lens, you see through the lens, right? An integral perspective means you can take off the lens, you can see the lens that you're looking through, and you can be flexible in your perspective. You can put on another lens and say, what would that be like? Let me feel my way into that, right? What is right? How are they right? What is their piece of the truth? That's a good question. All right, and here's some of their heroes.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is there ever in your view of the world, which is what I'm experiencing from you right now, is there ever a way when somebody is not right?
Is there ever a way when somebody's not right?
You're making everybody right.
Everybody's right. I'm going to say everybody's right, and they're not equally right. Okay, so we've got these three major worldviews, and they break out. We've only got two parties to vote for. We've got the Republicans and the Democrats, and you know where the traditionalists are, you know where the postmoderns are.
Choose. What have we got?
Okay, what do we got? We got the modernists who get split, and this is how the political values get framed in this, in Steve McIntosh's sketch of what is going on here. We've got the progressive postmoderns, the far left, the liberal modernists, our Hillary Clintons, the postmoderns is our Bernie Sanders, the fiscally conservative moderates, this is our Mitt Romneys, and we've got our socially conservative traditionalists, and we've got Mike Pence, and there's probably many other examples, but those occur to me. And then the values that go with them. The postmoderns, we are caring. We are saying, how many hearts have we broken to get where we are? How many people have we trounced? The liberals are saying we need a system that's fair, and we need our meritocracy, and we need we need basic fairness. The liberty values, our libertarian amigos, and our heritage values. So these are four value systems, and this is the technology that Steve puts together. He calls it agreement technology. And I would call it integral technology in terms of applying principles to inform the way we see things. And we have polarities at multiple levels. And some of those polarities are positive, negative polarities. There are real issues with each of the worldviews. They all fail. But we don't have to make war on them. And we don't have to compare them at their worst to us at our best. And so, I invite you to this beautiful quote by Mark Nepo. To listen is to lean in softly with a willingness to be changed by what we hear. And let's look at polarity on the right. We got positives and negatives, and we've got the dignities that can mitigate the disasters on the other pole. And I'm going to go quickly now. We've got the positives of the individual freedom and private property from our libertarians, and we've got the indifferent elitism and selfish exploitation. If all you see in the libertarians is selfish exploitation and indifferent elitism, well, you're missing half of it. The social conservatives, family values, Judeo-Christian heritage. Let's say there's something there worth caring about. But religious fundamentalism and anti-science, let's avoid that. All right. Each side has its dignities and disasters, and we all do. I'm a nice dude, and I can be a not nice dude. I can be a disaster sometimes. We've also got this way that these cultural values are formed in opposition and in correction to one another. So the upsides of one value structure can balance the disasters on the other pole. So as we've got this oppressive authoritarianism, which was big online, we are the Spanish Inquisition. How about limited government and personal privacy? You know, that was a good answer to that, and they can balance each other. There are better answers and worse answers. We've got self-dealing crony capitalism, and then we've got the traditional ideology of hard work and economic just deserts. You know, let's just be honest, hardworking people. That's pretty traditional. It's pretty nice. And then we've got the positive value polarities, which are at play, where both of them can offer points of tension that, like we said at the beginning, can reinforce, can feed, can generate energy, because they're both true, and they create that creative tension. So individual freedom and private property, yes, and self-sacrifice for the community good. Can those both be true? Individual freedom and community good? Let's hope so. And I like this. I think it was my dad. Thanks, Dad, for this quote. You'll miss the value of the worldview if you compare them at their worst to you at your best. So then let's look at polarity on the left. And we've got the dignities and the disasters. We've got atoning for America's past abuses. That's really good. And then we've got this anti-modernism, reverse patriotism. My daughter wants to move to Sweden and just give a big middle finger to America. Protecting the workers in the middle class, say the liberal modernists, and bloated government bureaucracy. I'm trying to build an ADU on my property, and I can tell you about bloated bureaucracy. But thanks for trying to make it all fair, folks. And then we've got the balance that comes across the poles. Environmental protection, yes, that balances the modernist, relative, complacent, indecisive. Oh yeah, I mean, we're a consumer culture, and we just go with it until somebody says, wait, stop. All right, and then vice versa. In fair, personal success, meritocracy is a good answer to divisive identity politics. And then we've got our positive polarities that are there. Environmental protection and protecting workers. Why don't we try both? Why don't we feel the tension of that and feel into, yeah, those are both worth caring about. I'm going to fast forward just a little bit because I'm feeling the time. 5 minutes? I got this. What's beautiful about this is that in a positive polarity, that this is actually a polarity itself, support and challenge, right? I'm a coach for these new teachers. I want to support them and I want to challenge them. I'm going to say, nice job, and here's a great next step. And we get unstuck in our politics when we conscientiously affirm the values of the other worldviews. We challenge and support them. And where has this worked? Let's look at a recent example of success, marijuana legalization. This actually worked. It came like a green tsunami because we had all 4 value structures activated. The caring values, decriminalizing the drug. Can we not have a Jim Crow where all the Black people are locked in? Ungodly numbers of them are locked away. Fairness values, hey, it's useful medicine to those who need it. Liberty values, the ending the morality-based prohibition, and crucially, where are our traditionalists in this? Thank you, traditionalists. Federalism and letting local populations determine what's best for their community. I like that part. Recent example of successful values integration, gay marriage. Watch this. The gay marriage, the 4 major value systems, caring values, fairness values, liberty values, and how are the traditionalists going to fit in there? Well, It's hard for traditionalists to argue against making a commitment to family through the institution of marriage. Touche. The climate challenge does remain stuck, however, and look, I'm going to propose some things that are really simplistic. And like Laura's question, don't you see anything that is wrong? We got to have real conversations about this. I'm going to do some flashpoints and some one sentence things here, but here's a couple ideas. How do we use developmental politics to unstick the climate change issue? Well, and I might earn some scorn here, appeal to the modernist values with policy proposals that are conscientious about the fragile ecology of markets and the need to consider the health of the market in environmental policy decisions. Oh, the market. I don't have to think about it much. I go to work, I have a government job, it's great. Markets, I'm just going to trust that there are experts who know that markets are important, and let's listen. Engage the creative power of business, acknowledge that private industry can innovate and offer solutions more readily than government. That seems like a no-brainer. I'm not sure that's how the progressives lead, though. We've got the government bureaucracy that snarls. And let me say here, this one really stood out to me as I was thinking about this. We're not trying to phrase this in terms that will get our side to win. We're not trying to say, oh, let me say it in a way that modernists will like. The integral move is to see the value in it and affirm it with your own, like, oh, that's true. All right, and immigration is stuck. The left's carrying values of fairness, the fairness values may do better if they're combined with traditional heritage values, promoting assimilation, or I would say integration into a mainstream American culture. And we can talk about what that might look like. I know, and the meritocracy values, they've got something right to say, what about the immigrants with talent and resources? Do we have to have a giant line for them too? So, where are we here? Seeing politics with the integral lens, we're able to use the values of each major worldview. I love this line from McIntosh, to see the value in the full, can't use the word value twice, but anyways, to appreciate the full spectrum of American values. All right, so we could be flexible in our perspectives and in our policy ideas. If it's inequity in education, it calls forth our postmodern caring values. If it's economic stagnation, you know, the libertarians, modern liberty values may have something to do with that. Shrinking middle class, maybe we can listen to the liberal fairness values. And lack of civic engagement, maybe we sit down with Grandpa who says, yeah, you know, I fought in World War II to defend the country so we could vote and everybody's vote would matter. And then I want to end with this generative value polarity. There may be none better, and maybe I'm just into the sound of this, but the best value polarity is my favorite. It's got to be the best. Come on. It's the one of self and greater than self. It's the self, the immanent and the transcendent. What is bigger than self? And we tap into this here. This is what we're here for. I told my friend Ronnie, why do we sign up with Rotary, which is service above self? Because I'm not going to remember service above self and find the motivation all the time. I'm going to go with the group that's going to do that anyways and let them pull me along. Anyways, the way that this circuit of self and greater than self works is with the practice of the virtues. And I invite you, kind of in closing here, check out this, scan this QR code if you'd like. This is a portrait of the good. Your virtues support your values. And this is Steve McIntosh has got this way. You can sort of think about which are the virtues that really energize me. Which are the ones that are really alive for me? And then you could, you know, it's a little a window to open to get into the integral space. And pretty much on time. Thank you for your attention.
Brian, thank you so much. I believe we have time for one or two questions. We'll take one from in the room, and then if there are any questions on Zoom, if we can jump back to the Zoom world, Andrew.
Ryan, this, we don't know yet what's gonna happen today, nor do we know what happens in 24.
I'm sure it's gonna be great.
Can you imagine yourself
What the heck?
giving this talk in Nazi Germany, Stalinist Russia, or for that matter, Russia?
Thank you. On the Daily Evolver podcast, which is about the best in terms of like responding to in real time cultural issues. We didn't get into it a whole lot, but these stages of human development, there is a warrior element that is absolutely called for. And right now in Ukraine, when that conflict went off, we said, thank God for the warrior values who are like, no, they're not taking they're not going to do that to my family, my kids. No, that's what we have weapons for. And they went and fought. And we love that and we encourage that. There has to be room for that.
Yeah, no, but it's beyond, it really goes beyond that. In other words, the way you can imagine this blending of values, this finding truth in everyone's position, in finding good in everyone's position. Can you imagine giving that talk in different historical contexts, such as the ones that I mentioned?
Thank God we live in a place where we have freedom of information. I don't know that this would rise to the top, and I don't know if I'd win any converts in the Nazi army. And Andrew, I don't know how to answer it, but I'm intrigued by the question, and I would love to take it to round 2.
Okay. I mean, the real point that I'm trying to make, you can still give this talk here and now.
Yeah.
I said he can still give that talk here and now. That's all I'm trying to say.
Did you hear me say that? Was there anything in what I said that was like equivalency? Like Nazis are cool too.
No.
Yeah, no.
No, I mean, there isn't.
Well, yes, I did.
So we get to go round 2.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're making everybody sound like everybody has something good to say, and I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but not everybody. Nobody can hear me, I do.
No, you're fine. It's a both and situation.
I
Start over again, Laura.
Brian, stop sharing. Everybody universally has something good to say, but that is just my personal opinion, because I believe that what I have to say is not universally good for some. And therefore, I believe that what you're, I mean, it's a great talk and it works in some ways. But it doesn't work for a Jew.
For
A Jew.
a Jew. Huh.
Okay. Folks, okay, at the risk of running the meeting very late, because I think this discussion could go on for
Another election cycle.
I'm going to cut it off. I will invite everyone to stay and have your own discussions around the table. We can do that. But in the meantime, well,
Till 7:15, we got 15 minutes of quality talk.
I have a suggestion for that, because I'm not sure that timing is going to work given the crowd. Anyway, on a different subject, is Jenny still with us?
I think they all left.
Yes, no, I'm here.
Conclusions here.
Yeah,
there's
a whole, yeah.
Lots of people there.
If you.
Well, we don't have Jenny with us, so we will hold the singing until another day.
Oh, I'm here. Don't ask me.
Even over Zoom, could I impose on you to do a round of happy birthday? Because our November birthdays include only one person, Art. Oh, and Warren on the 22nd. So Jenny, may I impose on you?
Well,
Start us off.
I'm coming off of a cold and I don't know that I
You're
can
muted,
sing.
Jenny.
I don't even want to try.
Sounds good, Jenny.
You're
Well-
muted.
You just want me to start you off?
All right. Who else has a
Happy
voice in this room?
birthday
Everyone.
to you.
We all there.
Happy
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Happy birthday to you. And many more. All right.
Way to go, Mark. Oh, my son's 54 today, so there you go. Thank you for singing.
All right. I just want to remind everybody, December 3rd, 9 o'clock, stream team. Don't know what the weather forecast is going to be for that. We're still a couple of weeks
Gorgeous,
away.
gorgeous.
But
3 inches of snow.
rain or shine, there won't be 3 inches of snow. I could almost bet on that.
After Sunday.
I got that recording.
All right. So stream team, the creek is there waiting for us to come help keep it flowing. So please mark your calendars. And do we have any other announcements?
Oh, weren't you gonna show the video?
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's not really a video. This is cool.
Football.
So our club sponsored an awesome grant and Springfield Guy Lee Elementary students, thank you. We sponsored first grade, first time on a team, the lowest SES, highest immigrant English learner school in Springfield. We made it so that every first grader could join the soccer team for free. We bought their cleats, Metro Rotary bought the balls and the membership for AAYSO, and I put together a little bit of a like show and tell. How much did they enjoy it? A 5 out of 5 for most of them.
Maybe you look like it.
And then I got and I got some really sweet quotes. This man told me, my child is very serious. I feel like here he learned how to play. I mean, these are kids who were locked in the pandemic. They did not go to preschool. They did not go to the playground. My child comes home from the games and he has no idea if his team won or lost. He doesn't know that that's a thing. He just loves playing. How likely is it that they would have participated if it was not free of charge? So on the scale of likelihood, 5 being they totally would have done it, or probably not. Yeah. We couldn't afford it, said mom. We saw free soccer, we signed up immediately. How likely is it you and your child will join another sports team? Look at that.
Wow.
I'd say we'd for sure do it again, but I don't know if we'll be able to find the money. What kinds of friendships or social connections do you feel like you and your child made with other kids, with other parents, with the coaches who were the teachers and the principals of the school? My son is asking me if next time I'll be the coach. The kid struggles with so many things in the classroom. Out here, there's just one task: get the ball and put it in the net. It's so cool to see her being successful. How likely is it that, oh, we already did this, but here's the quote. It was surprising how many barriers there were for parents. This was the principal telling me. Just navigating through the registration process. With coaching, we were able to get them through it. So it really, like, without the concerted effort, we don't have the kids on the team because it's just, it seems otherworldly almost. On weekends, my child asked me, oh, this is awesome. The kid's a Spanish speaker, and this is how he says it. He says, hey, Dad, is today the day I get to play with my bros? All right, what kind of skills did they learn? Soccer, sportsmanship, topping the chart here, social emotional.